Hey everybody, this is Matthew with Forging Your Legend, where we help people turn their toughest battles into their greatest legends. So today, I want to talk to you about some core concepts of brain retraining. This is a really important piece of what I do, and so I want you to understand brain retraining so that you can utilize it in your own life. First of all, I'm going to ask what is brain retraining and define that, and then I'm going to talk about what rounds look like at their most basic so that you can start doing them if you want. So, first, what is brain retraining? I define it as using the brain's neuroplastic capacity to consciously shape your life. So let's break that down. Your brain is not a hardwired machine. It's an organic, living organism that responds to its environment, responds to stimuli, and literally changes shape and function based on the inputs we give it. And that can be your physical environment, your social environment, your nutritional environment, and your thought and emotion environment. The thing we're going to be most focused on with brain retraining is the last one, your thoughts and emotions, because that's what we have the most direct control over. Obviously, you can affect other areas too, but that's where brain retraining puts the most focus. So we use the brain's capacity to change itself to change our lives. And that can work with your health, it can work with your relationships, it can work with money, it can work with your relationship with God, your relationship with your purpose. It's really potentially unlimited because it's not just a way to calm your brain or do a quick mental trick. It's a consciousness technology that really can radically transform your whole life if you go deep enough with it. So it's quite exciting. All right, so before I get into how to do basic rounds, I want to just cover a couple of basic concepts. So one concept is whatever you do more of, your brain will get better at doing quickly and efficiently. And whatever you do less of will start to fade away. Let's say, for example, you went to the gym and you worked like crazy on your upper body, but you spent your life in a wheelchair. Your legs would obviously atrophy, whereas your upper body would get very strong. It's like that with the brain too. Whatever you strengthen will get stronger, and whatever you leave alone or block will get weaker. Another concept that's really important is that a lot of our problems, at least on a physical and social and emotional level, come from an overactive stress response. And just to kind of frame this in brain physiology for a moment, your limbic brain is the part of your brain tasked with detecting threats and keeping you safe. So, if a tiger's chasing you and you need to run away, that's your limbic brain sending you adrenaline so that you get the heck out of there and save yourself. And that's a good thing sometimes. Sometimes we need to save ourselves, and maybe we wouldn't do it fast enough if it weren't reflexive. Where the problem comes is when that becomes exaggerated, when you have that fight, flight, freeze, fawn response to things that you shouldn't have it for. Like, you get into a fight with your partner, or you're too scared of rejection to share your art with the world, just for example, or you're overreacting to health challenges and it's making your health worse. That's where we need to teach our limbic brains to feel safe, even when it may not seem like we're safe. Teach them to have a more appropriate response to stress. That's a big part of what we do in brain retraining. Now, here are the basics of the rounds. Number 1, be aware of your trigger. 2, stop your trigger. 3, make a new choice. 4, reinforce that choice. Pretty simple. Let me break that down. Trigger, anything that makes you lose touch with the present moment or who you really want to be. Anything that makes you feel like you're living less than your best life, so to speak. So that might be anxiety. It might be judgments of yourself that aren't useful. It might be the way you're responding to pain or the pain itself. It could be a whole bunch of different things. Of course, there's human emotions, and you don't have to necessarily get rid of it just because it's negative, but if it feels like it's not who you want to be, that's a good sign that it's a trigger. You got the trigger, now you're going to stop it. You simply stop it like this. Stop. Or stop, stop, stop. You're engaging your physiology. You're actually doing that with your hands because it engages more parts of your brain, and that's a good thing for you. It makes it more effective that way, makes more of you respond to that. And you do want to say it out loud, say the stop out loud to add more oomph to that. At that point, you want to make a new choice. Literally just say, I am, say it in terms in the present tense, positive present tense terms. I am completely calm and confident in any situation or whatever you're going to go for. It can be a simple response to what the trigger is. Like if anxiety were your trigger, that'd be a good response. Or it might be just kind of an all-around, all-encompassing mantra that you have for everything. Now, the last piece is to reinforce your new choice. And this is where it's important to really get into it and live in the reality of that created. Create the feeling inside. Because if you don't reinforce this properly, if you just do the stop and then make a new choice verbally, you might get somewhere with that, but it's not a lot of oomph behind it. What you've dealt with in the past, there's a lot of emotion associated with it. So those old pathways are emotional. You need to get emotional in a positive way with the new things that you want. And so you're going to reinforce by being very engaged with a visualization and using your 5 senses. You might do 2 visualizations and you might do a memory that goes, all right, I'm remembering a time where I am walking through the forest and I see all the beautiful trees and I smell the fresh pine air, and you're going to use all these sensory details like you're walking it, you're living it. And so with the example of anxiety, maybe you're going into a memory of a time where you felt really, really safe, really, really calm and confident. And you're calling that up and generating that feeling in yourself. You're practicing creating that feeling because as you practice it, you strengthen it. Your brain gets better at that. And then you might take that into the future and actually imagine your trigger, but you're going to tell the story you want to tell about it. So you're going to imagine that situation where you normally get triggered, and instead you're going to be talking about how unbelievably calm and confident you feel, how you're handling it so gracefully. You're going to prime yourself for that like an athlete preparing for a race. You're going to see yourself doing it over and over and over until your brain just knows what to do in that situation and you have a different outcome. Trust me, I've done this many times with myself and with many, many, many other people. It works. So those are the basic steps. A couple things that you can add to that. It certainly doesn't hurt to spend a moment early in the round to just do this. Just taking some deep breaths, slowing down a little bit, putting your hands on your heart, maybe closing your eyes and smiling a little bit, and even giving yourself some loving encouragement like, hey, I know you're a little bit scared right now, but it's going to be okay. I've got you. I love you. You're doing great. Whatever you need. Some people feel like that's a little bit silly, but sometimes we really just do need our own encouragement. So you got to be your own coach, be your own hero there. The other thing that can be really useful is if you can label what's going on. And labeling has the function of not only, giving it a name, obviously, but putting it into the realm of your prefrontal cortex and activating your logical circuits instead of the emotional ones. And it actually inhibits your limbic brain to some degree. So you might do something like, I recognize that this is an overreaction in my limbic brain. It's a fear response and I'm not going to go there anymore. And you might fit both of these between the stop and the new choice. And so let me just give you a couple tips on this before we close. One thing I'll say is it's more important to be consistent than it is to be perfect. A lot of people have a perfectionism thing going on. Don't try to be perfect with it. Just do your best. You will get a lot out of this just by doing a short version like this. And you can always build on this later. There's a lot more you can do with this. There's a lot of systems, a lot of ideas, a lot of ways you can do this. Everybody's got their own way. I'm just trying to give you the bare bones basics so that you can make a way that works for you. I do that a lot with people, actually, help them make their practice work for them. And so if you need some help with that, do let me know. I would encourage you to try to do this every single day, an hour a day if possible. If you can't do an hour, at least do a half an hour. And if you can't find a way to do that, you probably aren't that committed, because I've seen people do it in extreme circumstances. And other than the hour, which is usually done, by yourself in quiet, a very deliberate practice, I would encourage you to do little mini versions of this in your head whenever you need them. So like the trigger comes up, stop. I'm not going there. I know what that is, and I'm choosing fill in the blank. It can be that simple. Just a quick rerouting, quick diverting of the path. And the other thing I will say is it's really, really important that you be self-loving and kind through this process, while at the same time not using that as an excuse to be lazy or to not keep a firm commitment to yourself. You need to have a vision of where you want to go and go after that vision as though it's the most important thing in your life, because frankly, it probably is. That vision comes from God, and it comes from your truest, highest self, and it's your purpose in life to follow that vision and everything that goes with that. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this very helpful. I'm here to help if you need anything, so please do reach out if you do. I'm at www.forgingyourlegend.com. And if you found this useful, hit share, hit like, hit follow, subscribe, whatever the case may be. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.